Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are gathering today with this amazing panel here. We are going to talk about offer and order, the road, the journey, a lot of the things you have been hearing a little bit during this conference, but we are going to bring in different perspectives from this amazing panel that I have next to me, that I will pass in a minute. And try to bring in a little bit of color to everything you've been listening about offers and orders in an airline perspective. So with me I have Richard.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Richard. I've been 18 years in revenue management at Air Canada, and my team today is leading all of the support to the market team. So in charge of the revenue management systems, calibration, all of the innovation that goes around it, working a lot with pros, working in AI as well, and working also more recently, I should say, with network planning, trying to bring a bit more science to that side of the commercial branch as well. And they're in dire need of bringing a little bit of what we have in revenue management. So it's quite interesting. I like to think about our team as, let's say, network revenue engineering, because we do a lot of like tweaking and calibration to make sure we have the most optimal setting. And then more recently, we focused on what are going to be the next steps in terms of revenue acceleration. The entire company needs more money. There's so many projects going on, and money is going to come from revenue management. So we have to deliver.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Dulski. I have been in the industry just shy of 10 years, and I have worked for both Air Canada and United across a variety of roles in pricing and revenue management, but now I am a full-fledged IT person. And I am nervous. I'm a senior product manager on our PSS team, and we are responsible for modernizing the PSS, and we are taking steps towards the offer and order transformation. One of my projects in particular that we've been talking with pros about is the market research and analysis of the product catalog and stock keeper products. And I also represent United at the IATA Offer and Order Working Group as the vice chair of the group for the past couple of years.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Katarina. Thank you, pros, for organizing this amazing event with this amazing panel, as you said, but this amazing event. And thank you all for coming, because I know that is late, and we or most of you wants to go home.
They want to go to Disney.
Oh, okay. No, but I've seen the baggage and so on. So my name is Ignacio Valeros. I work for Iberia. I've been working for Iberia the last 12 years and a half in different roles, digital, marketing, and then in revenue. I and my team will lead the revenue management, ancillaries, and merchandising in Iberia. We've joined these roles, these disciplines, because we think that the future is no longer optimizing the fare. It's more than that. It's optimizing the offer. It's just to have the right offer at the right time, at the right moment. And it's the total revenue that the thing that we want and we need to optimize for the future. And that's the offer and order piece that is important for the future. And then my background before Iberia, I've been working for a telco, Telefónica in Spain, and also Yellow Pages, and working with Google also to create websites for retailers. So that's the...
Retailer is in your blood.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I was not lying to you. It's an amazing panel. Before we go dig in a little bit on where you are and which stage you are on offer and orders, and talk a little bit more in your perspective for your airline, I would like... You've been all very, very involved in everything that is happening with the industry, and we saw that there was a momentum where we start talking about, bringing in richer offers with ND seats, started very slowly and grow until where we are today. And we saw something started to move the airlines and make them go faster, right? How do you see what is happening in the industry? What is your vision on that side? Alisa, do you want to start for me? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll start. So I actually have a very unique perspective on this in that I both wear a United hat, so I have an airline perspective, but I also have my IATA hat that I have to wear and think about the industry as a whole. And so from the United perspective, even prior to the pandemic, when we began our PSS modernization process, we've been looking at this very tactically of how we can take apart this monolithic system that we've created, this big spaghetti of code that is a little bit daunting. So from the very beginning, we're like, this needs to come apart, right? And that's kind of like the start of modularity for us in our journey. So that's been us from the very beginning. However, we're also seeing that since the pandemic, rather than slowing down, the interest in offer order transformations has been increasing, so that we're kind of taking a step back and reevaluating our approach. We don't want to miss the opportunity to be a driving force in the industry and let others go on without us. So we want to make sure that we're with the group, we're part of that driving force, first movers kind of thing. But we're also thinking, okay, well, the offer order conversation has been in the industry a long time, and we're still kind of just talking about it. And now is really the first time that we're seeing the suppliers and the vendors bring their products to the market to be able to support this kind of transformation. And the challenge with that is that because they're still kind of in their infancy, there's still a little bit of careful stepping of that these products haven't really been tested on large production scales in very stressful environments that a lot of us larger airlines have. And so we need to be very thoughtful and considerate about where we place vendors in our end-to-end and how we connect it with things that we build. And we need to be very conscious of that. Now, switching over to the IATA perspective, the standards continue to mature. We continue to add things, make sure that we're covering use cases across the industry. But what we're seeing is that there are gaps to these. There are things that we're missing. And some of those are very basic things like standards for how an offer system communicates with an order system. There's no standard for that. And so we're kind of almost, because of this acceleration, a little bit behind on the IATA side. And these are part of our conversations or part of our roadmaps for this year. But we also need to be very careful that the airlines and the vendors don't get too far ahead to where the standards that we set causes problems. And so we're trying to be very mindful and careful about that as we develop these standards.
Richard, do you want to add something?
Really? Anything to add after? Thank you. No, I think Alisa made very good points. I think the race has started now, right? It was very slow to start. Like you said, it was talks at IATA in like secluded little groups of people who were like talking about what the future would be. Then we saw Joost and Carl before him talk about all this fancy stuff. But now it's really becoming a reality because like we see the value that's going to come with it, the revenue benefit, the revenue opportunity, the customer experience opportunity that's going to come with it. But we also see that it's going to be a ton of work. So it's very good that we're all getting started. We're all going to be coming at it from different angles, and I guess we're going to talk about it in a moment. But I think some of the work, when we all go back in our airlines or in our tech company, is to also spread the word within the company, because we may be like very interested and sold to it within my team in revenue management, or within the PSS team at United, for instance, but it's not all the departments at Air Canada who are already considering like offer and order as their own program, because it's going to have to be their own program to be successful. It's going to be a massive transformation. So we need to continue to talk about it, to show example, to talk about proof of concepts that some airlines are doing, talk about where the IATA work is going, so that we build the momentum also internally within each airline.
Ignacio, maybe for you, and do you think that this acceleration is equally on all airlines, or there is an acceleration happening for the ones that are fairly involved with IATA because they are working on it? How do you see this acceleration? What is motivating this acceleration? You told about the revenue generation, but not everything is about the revenue. When the airlines started to accelerate?
Well, I think that not everyone is going to at the same pace, of course. I think that the industry has been at the forefront of a lot of commercial things in the past. For example, the revenue management is something that we created not me, but we created in the industry a long time ago.
We created.
Yes, you created it, probably. No. Also in the e-commerce space, I remember at the beginning of the internet, the airlines were the most popular websites. So we start a long time ago. So we have a very old technology. We have created, and we are not an IT company, so we are airlines, and we rely a lot on vendors, and we've been relying a lot on vendors in vendors in the past. So we've created like a very complex ecosystem during the years. We have all these PNRs, tickets, EMDs, RBDs, fare bases, a lot of things that we need to change, and we also communicate through EDIFAC, so we need to change to XML, and it's going to be a huge process. That's why it's been so low, because we've been talking about offer and order. I remember the first time I heard it was when I joined the company, so 12 years ago, I think. So I think the process is going to be very, very long. As Richard mentioned, it's something that in the company, it should be supported by even by the CEO, because you have to change your financial systems and a lot of things. So I think that's the reason why not everyone is going at the same pace. We've seen maybe the last 2 years, a change, because through NDC, the companies are changing their strategy, the content strategy, trying to boost the market to try to have the agencies on NDC. So this will move a lot, but we will say, I think that we will have in parallel the old world and the new world working together. So on your website, probably you will have offer and orders, but when you have to work with some partners, you will have the old world with PNRs. So we will see, but my guess is that at least we will have 10 years of PNRs, at least. And in parallel creating the new world, thanks to in some cases to the vendors that are trying to push us, as you mentioned, Alisa, that now things are changing. That's our feeling.
You said 10 years of PNRs. I was going to ask, so 2030 is still a reality, but you just said 10 years, so 2030 cannot be a reality.
It is a reality. I think it's going to be a reality this year. We will have offer and order, because there are some airlines that are moving from the PSS, that are modernizing the PSS, and we will have orders, but in parallel, we will still have in PNR for the coming 10 years.
Richard, can I ask you, you mentioned the value, you mentioned the value, the revenue generation that it comes with it, but there is also other things airlines are looking as drivers for this: cost efficiency, experience, customer experience. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because we just heard, living in a hybrid worlds for 10 more years, and that comes with obviously some cost association to it. So how this business case is being built on?
So I would say the way we look at it at the moment, and I'm sure like each airline is coming at it from a different angle. Some, like you mentioned, Alisa, are coming at it from a PSS standpoint, because PSS is reaching end of life, your contract is coming to an end, and you're thinking about, so what's next? And we know offers and orders are on the corner, so should we jump right away into an order world? From our perspective at Air Canada, we're more coming at it from a commercial standpoint. We have a big initiative around customer experience, so that's top of mind, everything that we do across the company. and then the revenue perspective as well. So these are the main two drivers, I would say. Because from a cost standpoint, yes, we heard from Ayata that there's going to be cost efficiencies in the long run, but very realistically, there are going to have to be a sustainable state during which both are going to coincide. And it's going to have to be sustainable from a revenue and cost standpoint as well. But I think that's going to be where one of the challenges will be. So a lot of focus on these like translators, communicators that are going to connect these two worlds. From a customer experience standpoint, gaining the ability to present more relevant offers to our customers that are more likely to be purchased, that are more likely to stimulate some setup to a richer and also more expensive product. I think there's a huge opportunity to both meet the revenue side and the customer experience side. And then what we're expecting as well is from an IROP standpoint to have a much more like, seamless experience than we have today. Today it's extremely messy, extremely manual. So that's what is coming from the order streamlining process in terms of impact on the customer experience.
And it looks like it's really a big point because we have different types of conversation and they all go towards to this customer experience piece. So that's the big motivator to go to that. Alyssa, can I ask you on your side, technologically speaking, as your IT head now, what is the benefits, the technological benefits that are coming from it? What do you see that is the driver that leads you to?
Yeah, so as mentioned, PSSs are old. Our girl shares she old, but she work, right? She's not broke, but we're gonna, move on from her anyway. And so for the IT perspective, we're really approaching this as the first opportunity to really do something revolutionary. I mean, when we moved to e-ticket, all we really did was digitize everything that was on paper. There wasn't a lot of logic change to it, right? And this is the first opportunity that we have to change our logic, to think differently, to not be constrained by those legacy concepts that we've had to be for so long. And so at United, our perspective isn't just, how does United move to offer an order? This is really a jumping off point for us to really become that modern airline retailer that we all want to be and be more customer centric, put the customer at the center of everything we do. And not only in the sense of making their experience better end to end, but that means eliminating a lot of this technical debt that we've made for ourselves and, getting rid of those redundancies and simplifying our processes so that they can create that better customer experience. And then also doing the research that allows us to make our systems smarter and better more quickly than having to untangle a lot of this code that we have out there that's older than a lot of us. And so it's a really great opportunity from that. And we're not looking at this as this is a 6-10 year project. This is what we are setting up United to take into the next 50 or 60 years. And so we're really looking at it, it's just past the end state. This is our chance to be revolutionary as an industry. And so we're going to take it and we're going to run with it.
That's great. That's great. We all want to run with it. That's fantastic. I was thinking while you were talking about, these drivers that take you and where you want to take, I was thinking about, what about the implications that this brings inside of your airlines? And what is this? You also mentioned everyone needs to be on board. So it goes beyond just a technological change and changing the way we have the systems and what they are capable of doing, and also give you more freedom. It also changed the mentality inside of the organization and how you're going to look at this, right? How is being for Iberia?
Well, as you both mentioned, I think this change will be focused on customer experience and getting more revenue. and this will have internally will have the need of changing the mindsets. When I mentioned the revenue management function, I think that we need to change the way we think, because we need to put the customer in the center. We always say the same words, but in this case it's the truth, because there are a lot of things that are not more acceptable from a customer point of view. For example, if we have an agreement between each other and you fly from one point to another with Iberia, then with United, and then with Canada, the customer should select the seat. Nowadays, that's sometimes difficult because we have cross airlines. The future, we have to think that we need to make that available, or things like that we commented yesterday, joining two PNRs, because imagine that you and me are flying and I buy the ticket and then you buy the ticket. We need to go together, and with the current systems it's difficult. So at the end, all the companies should think in the customer. That's a great change. And also think in total revenue, not just the fares. So that's the big change that we need to do, and more collaboration between each other with the customer teams. Also, as I mentioned before, finance also, we need to change the way we do the revenue accounting with the new world. So it's involving a change of mindset that is huge. For sure.
Implications all across,
yes,
and touching everything.
Yes,
yeah, it makes it also more longer inside of the organization, because there is all of these implications, and also discovering which implications are, right. We heard just before that, I mean, sometimes we don't even know what is going to be actually impacted with this transformation. And talking about transformation, and then I go back to Elisa, and this one is, we started this, and I feel like my personal view is we started independently where the airlines are, and everyone is in a different step. This already started today, right? And what do you think is this? What it means this started? Where do we start it? What do you see in the industry that is the first step that the airlines are taking for this transformation? I'm going out this way.
Well, I'll kind of play off of what Joost said yesterday, I believe, and it's breaking it down into small, manageable pieces. And what pieces you choose to start with is going to be different for every airline, depending on where you are today. And as Richard said, like, we're all coming at this from different perspectives. And so how we approach it is going to be different for every airline. And for United, from the very beginning, when we entered a PSS modernization process, like even prior to the pandemic, we saw great risk in continuing to have a monolithic system. So from the very beginning, we have said we need to break away from this sort of mentality. And so we're taking an approach of breaking it down into its more functional systems that work together in an ecosystem. So because we're attacking this from the IT side, that's really where our mindset is. And now we're having to, socialize that with our stakeholders. But being in IT, this is nothing new to us to think end to end. We need to talk to our business stakeholders, our commercial stakeholders, and those kinds of things. And one of the things that I'm actually really proud of our product team doing is that we are going out into the operation as product managers into our operations, working with our frontline in the lobbies, at additional service desks, at the gates, to really understand how they're using the systems, and not just creating the use cases and being like, yes, logically that works. We can see, okay, maybe it didn't work as well as it worked in my head, right? Theory and practice are different. And so I love going out there, learning new things, working with the people, getting their pain points that we can take back and address, and then allow them to serve our customers better, which allows us to become more customer-centric. And so that's kind of how we are approaching it, is we really want to understand this system before we start retiring it, replacing it with other things. And so we're being very careful and conscious to make sure that we're communicating that with our front lines and ensuring that they're going to be able to do their jobs better, quicker, more efficiently, and that we're not just doing this and then saying this is what you have to use now. So we're being very careful about the bonds that we're creating as we're going through this change.
Richard, how is transformation for you?
So we already identified it would be a massive change management chaos, problem, challenge. Let's use challenge. When you think about it, what we're looking at, either if it is an opportunity or an objective, we're going to try to be more efficient and easy to use as Amazon and to deliver better quality service than Disney. That's easy, right? That's maybe the aspiration, the stretch goal we have with this. But that's, like you said, it is the opportunity to rethink at large how we work as an industry, benefit from all the advances from other industries that are already a lot more advanced in terms of digital retailing. But roles are going to change. Organizations are going to change. We see already a lot of movement in many airlines where we see ancillaries moving here and there, distribution moving around as well. And that's probably going to happen at any airline because we're getting towards a more centralized commercial operation center, if we want. So that's going to take time, and it's going to take, and go back to my first comment, a lot of convincing and making sure that it becomes a key priority for the company.
Do you think that all of that pieces that are moving, including the technical part, also is airlines shaping their bodies to actually think as retailers? Because there was a lot of airlines that were still very focused on, I sell seats on my flight. And right now we see that movement inside of the company, which is Disney, right? It's much more than a flight. Is a brand. I don't know if there is. Do you guys know someone in the world that don't know what Disney is? Mm-hmm. That's the aspiration, right?
Yeah. And the memories and the good feeling that come with it. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Like the loyalty function also in the companies is definitely very closely tied to all these upcoming developments. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of work in front of us, for sure.
It's a big journey.
Yeah.
Ignacio, do you want to chime in?
Well, regarding transformation, I think that there's different ways to tackle that. In our case, we think that every step should found the next step. For example, during the pandemic period, we widened our product catalog more than ever, but it was based on the need of giving the right product to our customers. I remember with the flexibility thing that we need to create flexibility products, a la carte flexibility products, or vouchers, gift cards to refund or to give the value again to the customers when we had disruptions. But the way to work in our case is to, as I said, every step should found the next step. You should have clear goals, and it's going to be slow, that's true, but it's the way because we are complex companies, and for example, shaping the company towards retailing is something that it will take some time, but we've seen that is happening because we've seen, as you mentioned, that there are some cases where the revenue management is joining with the loyalty piece in some big airlines. In others, the ancillaries, of course, is joining, and so, as I said at the beginning, it's a process that we will see, but my feeling is that everything is moving faster this year. So,
thank you. Unfortunately, and you guys know that I could stay here all afternoon talking with you. I already ordered margaritas and everything, but I had a sign saying this needs to stop. Sorry for that. My take is that there is a lot to do. We are starting, but now is the moment to move, right? We can't keep waiting for things to happen. We need to start, and this is for everyone in the room. We all have a piece on it. We all have to somehow start doing something and help the industry to to move ahead. And with this, I thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure, as always. And thank you, everyone, for attending.